don't have to protect a teenager. He's adult, so he should be charged in court. He will be liable. But a lot of UC try to protect their students because they consider them a student even though they are above 21. So now the policy has changed. I think we should prosecute. I think that's the only way to go. Because if someone 16 kills somebody, like what happened in River Valley, what are you going to do? You have to take action, even though it's a mental case. That is how I think the society is slowly evolving, and you have to change your policy accordingly. Okay, next we have into the section who maintains the plan. This is important because if you don't say who does it, ladies and gentlemen, you are now the official owner of crisis management plan for the rest of your life in the organization. Okay, so you need to know that, for example, if let's say sexual harassment plan is owned by HR, so HR is responsible to update. Let's say country evacuation, security, right? Then we have let's say riot. I will use facility and security example. Right? All these are example of owner of the plan. So when there's update and there's an audit, someone finds finding, go and search for this person. As far as you are concerned, you will manage the cover, which is what we are going to go after this in your plan. You notice I have a couple of documents saying what's the roles and responsibility. All these are a sample example of a crisis management plan. Okay, then the other thing is they are also responsible to do their own testing. Like example, sexual harassment, only 2 or 3%. Even country evacuation, only 2 or 3%. The only one I want to know is who is my contractor on the ground. As an organization, I always have contractor to evacuate because we are private sector. And the other thing I like is that if you are in Southeast Asia, seriously, Singaporean has a lot of advantage of getting out of country very fast. Okay, so if you have people out there, just remember, whatever happened, hit the Singapore embassy first. That's what I want you guys to do. But the problem is that in Jakarta, that year, they lock out the US embassy, the British embassy, and the Singapore embassy. So my guys cannot enter the embassy because you will enter embassy, they'll kill you actually, literally. Okay, so that was a crisis plan that we anticipated it because it has been in Africa to us before. So what we did was, for your information, I have a bus on standby retainer for I don't know how many years. This bus brings us to Sukarno International Airport. And then we bought the plane. Okay, if likewise in this case, the road to Sukarno was closer for one period, we actually allowed one of my senior officers went to Surabaya. From Surabaya, they take a plane to Bintang or Batam, I can't remember. And then from Batam, they cross into Singapore. Then they go back to UK. Okay, that was another example of country evacuation. So you want to country evacuation, that's what we do. Because I have a plan A, plan B. Plan A is get the embassy to evacuate for you. Plan B is actually evacuate yourself via a third route. Means you go against the rioter traffic, which is outside of Jakarta, to leave and then fly into another zone. Because Surabaya, there's no riot. Jakarta, there's a riot. And they're killing people, right? So you need to understand the psyche of the Indonesian tribes in their own location. Okay, so that was a classic example of a country evacuation, which I was using it for Hong Kong and I redeployed in Jakarta. That was a very funny story. Not funny when someone is about to die. Okay, next we have what are the responsibility of CM? Same thing. Who is the head of CMT? Who is the deputy? Who is the subject matter for human resource? Who is the subject matter for legal? So sometimes remember, your legal team may not be your head of legal. Your legal team could be an outsourced person, which is part of your CMT. So for smaller organization, you may not have the luxury of having a compliance person, a legal person, a PR person. You will outsource to a third party, and this third party will come in off and on to do exercise with you. It is very prominent. To us, even though I have a PR team, I have a COPCOM team, I also have an external PR team back to back to us. Because we need the international flavor support from an international PR firm. when we have a crisis. Okay, things will be what are the list of threat situation. This is where you finish with Irene last week, right? You list down all your threats. Now, if I were you, I say not done, not done, not done, not done. But list it down. You know what I mean? So then you have you work a program and say, boss, I need 3 years to finish this. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And if something happens that is not done, then you bring them up to the top agenda, COVID, pandemic outbreak, then bring up and start working on it now, like immediately. In November, you start working on pandemic flu plan. That's what I will do, or Ebola plan, or whatever it is, which you have it on your dashboard. Okay, the other thing will be, what's your framework? What are your, how do you go around, like what we have just done last week? You get consensus for every HOD, and then to tell you these are my concern. For concern, we aggregate together, we get management to prove that this tier one crisis, this tier 2 crisis, this tier 3 crisis, right? And this crisis that is called unspeakable. We cannot talk about it. Because the one that I always have problem is the CO is corrupted. You try running that. You have to go back to HQ already. Because CO is corrupted, there's nothing you can do. And the moment whatever you move, you'll be blocked. You'll be blocked straight away. So there's no way of you moving at all if is that case. So you have to have an independent team that goes by the back and handle this. We have separate team for running this, which I don't want to be involved. Okay, document all your register. Now this is where you can work with enterprise risk management to have a risk register, operational risk, market risk, credit risk. Okay, then you have inside operational risk, you can have threats, you can have crisis scenario. Okay. Warning and alert. This is how you activate the warning. Warning means how, man. Sometimes warning means when I sound the warning, it could be 1 week ago, one week earlier. Like example for Kabul case, it's a very simple example. I used to have a couple of friends operating in Kabul. Warning is very simple. 2 weeks they'll be out of the country first. They will resign and they walk out of the country, or they go into a nearest embassy. I think it's Turkey, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so that's what you will do. You evacuate yourself first, and then get out. If your family, you evacuate your family first, then you evacuate yourself a week earlier or 2 weeks earlier. Okay, crisis command. This is again how you set up command center. This is where you tie in with your BCM team. BCM team is the best team to manage your command center. And normally I put a crisis. The crisis command is headed by CMT. And if you're big enough, please do not put your CMT and your BCM team together, because the CM team caused a lot of problem to the BCM team. The CM team has nothing to do. I'm going to tell you the truth. Nothing to do. They just make decisions and drink coffee. I'm not joking. They just make decisions and drink coffee. And when they are free, what they do, they go and disturb the BCM team. How are you? How is everything? That's the last thing I want. And he's the boss. I got to stand out and talk to him. Don't laugh. It is true. I've been there, done it, and I have to chase them. And now I built another room for them to have make sure there's a coffee machine there. There's whatever. There's a fridge there and all these things, so that they are out of my way. And when I need it, I send the team to their room and ask for permission. Okay, I go in and ask. I go and brief them in their room. Please don't come to my command center, because my command center are staffed by junior officer. When the CO walks in, everybody stand up, right? You know what I mean? Everybody must talk to a CO and all these things. So I have things to do. But you are the boss. I have to talk to you. This is a common problem in Asia, and most of the time you stand out. Some countries are going to bow to you some more. That's the worst thing. Okay, or sawadika or something like that. So we don't want to do that in Asia. Okay, so command center structure must be in place. So one of the exercise you guys should start thinking about is, what's the command structure from if you are combine the command structure together, means the crisis management team and BCM team together, so that we can see in totality. If your company is very small, means the head of CMT could be the head of BCM. Maybe, I don't know. Okay. Then how do you resolve the crisis? This is where a set of subject matter people come in. So according to the plan, there's actually a subject matter expert. If these things happen, let's say sexual harassment happen, I need the HR to be, I need the legal, I need the compliance. Okay, I need the department heads sometimes of the affected department. and so on and so forth. Okay, so all these things I need a comms team to be in. So when I resolve resolution, what I do is I go around the table and say, from your perspective, legal perspective, what are things we need to consider based on current information. Okay, HR, what we need to do. Okay, security, what we need to do now. Okay, so you go around the table and start to identify what are the issues, then you resolve them as a team, take a position, then you say, okay, let's hit the incumbent as hard as we can. We bring in the lawyers now, or we compensate. Okay, we resolve through monetary compensation, but please don't use the word. I use the word compensation. Don't use the word we resolve by paying you off. Most of the time, that's the only way you can do. Okay, so even I pay off, I need the lawyers to be around to lawyer you up so that you will keep your mouth shut. That's what crises are all about. Okay, so some of you will, after this course, you say, hey, Dr. Goh, you're very evil. I'm going to tell you, it's not about being evil, it's about doing your job. But you find that this job is too, for Singaporean, we can't take it. It actually crossed the line of a typical Singaporean. When I go to China, we are called dumb and honest. We're very honest, seriously. When it comes to, we will tell the truth and all these things, but we're very dumb because we tell the truth. We do not know how to divert or rephrase our sentence. We just say the truth. So that's the reason why we are very, very bad at this area. But it takes a lot of practice. After a while, just be careful. Always remember, at the end of the day, if you have an organization to back you, then you know what to do. If you don't have an organization to back off, you also know how, you need to know how to posture. So crisis resolution depends on your size and who you are, and who are your godfathers, and who is your holding company. Always remember all these things. Then you can posture nicely. So it doesn't mean we will use the same strategy for every single company. That's what I will recommend you to do. Okay. Then we go into post-crisis. This is the part that we don't do anything. In Singapore, we just go back and have a good rest. Seriously, what I like you guys to do is post-crisis is to do an evaluation, and then in ISO 22301, we call it continuous improvement. Okay, continuous improvement means we want to improve upon the what has gone wrong and all these things. But seriously, that's a very good thing. Okay, and I mentioned always have a checklist. That is something that I want to carry on my hand. Carry on your hand a checklist. That's something that you must try to advocate in today's context. Okay, so that's basically what you need to do. Okay, I'm going to just skip this. Just always remember, in crisis management, we have pre-crisis, we have during crisis, and post-crisis. These are the 3 stages. If you look at if you are a BCM person, you will link this the 6 R's to these 3 areas, so that your business continuity plan and your crisis management plan can run in sync. Okay, which I'm not going to do it here. Okay, so cost content, again, these are all things in your system. We have a corporate core tree, but management, we have internal core tree. If it's a core tree already existing existed in your BCM, go back to your BCM plan. Escalation procedure slightly different. Some of you may have what we call a red, amber, green kind of environment. Okay, color. Some level 1, level 2, level 3, level 5. For those who are in the army, it's similar to like DEFCON 1 to 5, something like that. That's exactly the same analogy that I'm going to give you. So there's an escalation, and each escalation requires certain people to come in. Okay, so actually you will set an escalation level, which is inside my draft plan. And all your strategy must be documented, because all your strategy is documented because it has been pre-approved by management. Now, sometimes I need to warn you, you can deviate from the plan, but deviation requires permission again. So sometimes if you think hard enough, take your first plan, hit it first. Then once you have a problem, then go back to management and say, we need to deviate. Then ask them for permission to deviate. But if you want to deviate on day 1, you are in trouble. Then they'll say you did not comply to what we are prepared for. And you know crisis, you cannot be prepared. But from experience, hit the first, in accordance with your plan, hit it first. Then I quickly say, hey, boss, we need to deviate now because the environment has changed. Okay, so this is basically the case that you need to be very alert about. Okay, what's other content? Or this is where all your templates comes in. The templates are very important. How do you report to management? For example, in StanChart, I have to report to about 26 people every incident. And all these are senior regional heads, regional CEO, regional MD, regional group directors, and all these things. And all of them want to know the situation. And they will call you. That's the worst thing. And then you have to answer your phone. Okay, always remember that story of mine. So your job is to I set a process. I say, okay, when the things happen, give me 60 minutes. I will report to you 60 minutes upon activation of my plan. I will report to you. So don't call me, I'll call you. So even if you call me, I say, hang on, sir, in 20 minutes time, there'll be a report going to your place. So that will keep all the phones out of your system. Okay, because you're busy handling the crisis now. Okay, all incoming calls must be logged. So there must be someone like in command center, a telephone operator to log who calls and what do they report. Remember, sometimes they are all fake calls. They could be from some stupid newspaper, or some blogs or bloggers are coming in just to either stir problem or to give you false news. You have to record them and take down their numbers. Okay, those things are important because later on post-mortem, you may want to take legal action against certain people, and the logs are the only evidence you have in court. Okay, so remember, don't underestimate the logging of the entire operation. And I normally take a third-party person to do this because this price just call log like operator.